I'm Joey. Most people know me by Snow Rocc, neighborhood Crip.
All right. All right. So, welcome to the channel.
Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, my pleasure. So you're from San Diego?
Yep. Southeast San Diego.
All right. All right. So, you're born and raised in San Diego, or?
Yep. Born and raised.
All right. Cool. Yeah, I moved down there when I was like 8 years old. So, yeah. Southeast San Diego. What are like some of the high schools in that area that I would be familiar with?
Lincoln High School.
Okay.
Gompers. I'm off of Market Street.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Right between the 805 and the 15.
Yep. Yep. I don't know if the 15 was there when I was out, was it? The 70s? Yeah. I used to take the 805 when I lived downtown. So, man, that's a pretty rough neighborhood. I told you on the phone before we did this, I played Pop Warner football. I went to Lincoln High School a couple times, and our team was all white and their team was all black. They had a Mexican quarterback. And the first year we played down there, they were throwing bricks at us, and they hit one of our players in the head with a brick. It was quite an experience coming from Lakeside, El Cajon area. So you grew up there.
Yeah, I wanted to go to school and play football. I've always been a big guy,
Yeah.
but I went up there, and it's on the borderline, but for the Lincoln Park Bloods and my neighborhood, and I went to school gang banging, and I was only there for 2 weeks, got into a couple fights and got expelled. So that was the end of that.
Yeah, yeah. So growing up in that neighborhood, man, I mean, were there a lot of, was it like a diverse neighborhood, or were you like very few white?
It was like maybe 3 white families that I know of over there.
Right.
And that's kind of it. It's mostly blacks and a couple of Hispanics.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's how I remember that area. So, man, I mean, that, did you have like problems growing up when you were young, growing up in that area, or?
Yeah, well, I got picked on my whole life. We were, like I said, we were the only white family over there. And, even my family, I remember being a kid and bricks coming through our windows because, the people over there kind of didn't want us there. And later on, I kind of got taken in by a lady because it was a long story, but my dad put me out when I was 13. And, people in the neighborhood took me in. And it was a lady that took me in, and I grew to look at her like family because I called her Aunt Carol, and she basically helped me out through a lot of stuff. And she told me, that a lot of people felt oppressed by the whites, so they can't get to them, and I'm here, so they take it out on me.
Okay.
So I kind of, she kind of explained a lot for me and helped me to get through a lot of stuff. But she had her own problems, and she was going through a lot of stuff because she was on drugs and,
Yeah, yeah. Did she have kids too, or?
Yeah, she had a son, and he was like a big brother, and he was always there for me. But I chose the streets. And, wanted to do things my way and figured I knew best, and ended up, on the streets and gang banging and, because at that time in the early 80s, crack was everything. So if you had it, you could have anything.
So, like, did you go back to school at all? You just got kicked out of school, like high school, or did you go to school up till high school, or how was that?
That's the thing. I've been in and out of the system since I was 9 years old. My first offense, I got assault with a deadly weapon because the guy broke my mom's jaw, but his brother was fighting my dad. And then my mom called his mom a bitch. So he took it upon himself to hit my mom. I'm a 9-year-old little kid. I don't know what to do. I'm crying. You know, all I can think of is my uncle has a rifle in our hallway closet, so I went and got it.
Yeah.
I put a bullet in it, came outside, and I shot it, and I shot the guy in the leg, and you know.
Yeah.
Long story short, that was my first offense. You know, my beginning in a life of crime, as you would say.
Yeah. So you were in and out of like juvenile facilities?
Yep. My second offense, I think I was 11. I robbed a house.
Yeah.
You know, because I was smaller, so the older kids could talk me into climbing in the window. And then, you know, I went in there and went in the refrigerator to get something to eat. And they were taking TVs and stuff, and I was just trying to get something to eat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, it was rough coming up. You know, my mom, she was always there for me, but my dad was alcoholic, so I couldn't come around when he was there. But when he wasn't there, I could come and get something to eat, and you know, my mom would do what she can for me. But my father, he had a drinking problem, and he also was abusive, you know, to me, my mom, my sister. So it was kind of rough, you know.
Right. So if you were at home, you have conflict with your father. Is that because of the drinking? Yeah.
Yep.
And it's
because if he got violent with my sister or my mom, you know, I tried to get involved, and next thing you know, I'm getting beat up, and you know, I got a little older, got a little bigger, and when I was 13, you know, I knocked him out, and I thought it was over, because usually when he beats me up, it's over. So this time he lost, and I went to my room, thought it was over, but when he woke up, he went and got his gun, and it was time for me to leave, you know, so it wasn't nothing my mom could do. So I ended up on the streets for a while, and then, you know, one of my homeboys from our neighborhood put me in his dope house. You know, it was like, you can stay here, you just got to sell this for me.
Right.
So that was when I was 13, and then, you know what I'm saying, by the time I was 14, you know, I had my own apartment selling crack.
So when you're 13, you're basically out on the street. So your homeboys that were plugging you in with stuff and looking out for you, were they like gang members or
neighborhood Crips?
Okay. Wow, that's a young age to be exposed. So I imagine you weren't going to school while you're doing that, right?
No, but when I get locked up, I go to school for a little while, and then I get out. My mom, she would come to court and say she would take me in, but she would tell me, you know you can't stay at the house. I'm like, that's okay. I'll stay somewhere else. Just help me get out. Right. And she would help me get out, and then it'd be back to the streets, you know.
Right. So now, had you joined neighborhood gang already, or were you just like a homie?
Yeah, well, I was like a homie. I was a kid at the time. Mentally, I was a buster, is what they call it. You know, when you're young and you're just pretending, you know what I mean, you know. But by the time I turned, you know what I'm saying, like 14 and 15, that's when I was getting initiated. And initiation for me was a little bit different because I was the only white boy. So whenever the guys were bored, it was time to pick on the white boy. So I got jumped in more than 20 times, you know, just because there was nothing else for the guys to do. So.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. But after, I mean, so then you reach a point like where you're just in, right? No more like.
Yeah, well, I call it, I used to say, because growing up when I was a kid, I was called White Boy Joey.
Right.
You know, and then as I got a little older, I became Snow Rocc. And I used to say that Snow Rocc killed White Boy Joey. But that's not possible because White Boy Joey is still a part of me.
Yeah.
And Snow Rocc is still a part of me, you know.
Yeah.
But it was an evolution because White Boy Joey got tired of getting picked on, pushed around, beat up, and his stuff taken. So Snow Rocc had to evolve to stop that. And Snow Rocc got so vicious to where, you know, I was 14, 15 years old fighting grown men.
Yeah.
And that was a normal thing. So, you know what I mean? But like I said, I was always bigger. I was as big as people 2 years older than me.
Right, right.
So, I had that to assist me, but it was still rough, and you know what I'm saying, personally, the way I look at it is everything that the homies put me through kind of was a benefit, because later on when I went to prison, I had to go through a whole different arena of bullshit. And
Right.
if I wouldn't have went through the shit that they put me through, I probably wouldn't have survived all the stuff I had to go through.
Yeah,
So
that's
the saying, if whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
yeah, yeah. So you were in and out of juvenile hall?
Yeah, in and out. I went to juvenile camp twice, and
Yeah. Campo?
yeah, Campo.
Yeah, yeah, I went there. So did you take any trips through youth authority or any of that?
That's the thing. I went to camp twice. The first time I went, and then I got out and stayed out for a little while, and then I went back, and I had to pay lawyer because at the time, like I said, with the drugs, I was having a little money, so I had enough money to pay for a lawyer who was kind of shady.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? If you pay me enough money, I'll get you, what I'm saying, a good deal.
Right.
So I had 6 years like joint suspension, and I was facing 9 years, for the drugs. I got busted for possession for sales. And so now I'm already got a 6 year like joint suspension juvenile, and now I'm facing 9 years for the possession for sales.
Wow.
So the lawyer was like, look, I can get you less than a year, but you got to pay me, amount of money. So
Yeah.
I didn't come up with what he wanted, but I got close to it, and that took everything I had. And you know what I'm saying, I got to go to camp again for the second time.
Right.
And then I got out, and I got out 17, and I was about to turn 18. And once I turned 18, I just left. I had an uncle, and he took me in, said, look, if you come up here, I'll give you a job in an apartment. So I moved out of San Diego.
Yeah.
Tried to do things the right way. That didn't work out.
Yeah.
Because my mentality, he got me a job in an apartment. And you know what I'm saying? I was doing good, but that didn't last long because I don't have nothing. I go to work and I pay my bills and I have a few dollars left over. So I can't live like this. I'm used to having money in my pocket, being able to do things. I don't have no transportation. So, I started, doing illegal business again.
Right.
And, what I'm saying, I was lucky. The company that he got me a job with, the boss was a friend of his. And he found out what I was doing. And he told me, look, you give me back what you have right now, and then I won't tell your uncle about it. And I'm saying, you just quit, and I'll give you a good recommendation for your next job.
Yeah.
But by then, I was, back to doing other stuff and had, was getting my money. And, okay, I'm just going to quit and move back to San Diego.
Right.
Went back to San Diego and right back to the hood.
Right. And so, along with the drug use and hanging out with homeboys and stuff, I imagine you've seen your fair share of violence as well, right? I mean,
to say the least.
Yeah, guys that run them circles, it goes from, at least my experience, it went from like fighting to guys carrying weapons and all that kind of stuff. The violence and the seriousness of things kind of increase, especially when you put in, the money and the drugs factor in, and I know for me, looking back, I mean, it's like you start off with a group of guys that are friends, and then when all that kind of factors in, the friendship kind of is not what it used to be either. It's kind of, you got to kind of be suspicious of people around you. You once thought were your friends. I don't know if you experienced any of that kind of stuff or.
Yeah, a lot of people, were snitching, and you know, when they got pressure put on them, it was, you know, just give it up. And I wasn't raised that way, and it seemed
Right.
like, I swear, every time I went to jail for something, the cops were trying to get me to give them information on such and such or so and so.
Right.
And I wasn't raised that way. I had some older homies who kind of laced me up and taught me, you know what I'm saying, you know, the rules, and this is the way it goes. You don't tell no matter what. You don't, that's not the way we do it.
Right.
So what really got me, I had a older homie. He picked me up when I was younger with the young guys, and he picked me up, and he wouldn't let none of the other guys go. And it was like, come on, man, let us go. It was like, no, get away from the car. And he had me get in the car. And then he drove off and got on the freeway, gave me a joint, said, here, fire this up. And then just talked to me and told me, you know what I'm saying, you know, if you ever snitch, I will hunt you down and kill you, you know, because I'm the only white boy in the crowd. So I'm already looked at as, oh, yeah, he's going to tell. If you do something with him, he's going to tell.
Yeah.
So, you know, I had that, and he scared the daylights out of me.
Yeah.
Now he's resting in peace. You know what I mean? You know, he ended up getting killed during a robbery because he was one of the homies that said he would never go to prison. So when the police had him dead bang, you know, he tried to shoot his way out, and he didn't even have a chance. So
I'm sorry to hear that.
But even after that, that was still in my head, you know, don't do it. You know what I mean? That's not the way we get down.
Right. Right.
So.
Yeah. You know, and guys, a lot of people tell out of envy, you know, they're kind of envious of what you have, or, you know, you were jealous, or, you know, like, you know, I experienced this stuff mostly in prison because I got busted when I was 17. You know, I spent most of my life in prison, but guys get envious of what you're doing and what you have, and they go tell on you, you know, so it's, and then,
there's a lot of that.
And other guys will plot against you behind your back, try to get you taken down some other way because they feel like maybe, you know, you got something that you should be sharing with them or something. I mean, it's well, I call it the crabs in a barrel syndrome. When one person is getting up too high, let's drag him down so that I can get up into that place. Yeah. And if we all work together, we can all get out of the barrel. But if we're constantly pulling each other down, how can we ever get out? But that's the thing. It's hard to get people to work together, you know, no matter what. So. Yeah, you know, a lot of people don't see it that way. They're out for their own bones, you know. And
that's the thing. Everybody's out for themselves. Right, even the ones that are supposed to be your homies.
And so some guys take the homeboy thing or the brother thing, you know, all the way to the extreme. They believe in it. And other guys are in it for their own personal gain. And it's you know, it's usually the guy who's in it for real who ends up going to prison, and the guy who's in it for his own personal gain, you know, uses that trump card of being a snitch usually to get himself out of a jam, you know, when the time comes. So after you did your camp time, I mean, did you have a good run out there? I mean, before you ended up getting arrested again, or?
Well, I got out right before I turned 18, and I stayed out for a year and some change. I came back when I was 19, my first offense as an adult, and that was for armed robbery, and I robbed a drug dealer. The drug dealer came to court and said I stole the drugs he was selling out of his house.
Oh, wow. Straight up, yeah.
So I was raised with Robin Hood, you know, where you steal from the rich and give to the poor or give to myself. But I figure if I robbed a dope man, who's he going to tell? He can't go tell the police. Yeah. You know, if he got a problem with me, you know, I'm in the streets, you know, so if you want to see me, I'm not hard to find. So, you know, I kept a gun in my pocket. You know, I had, you know what I'm saying, you know, skills with, you know what I'm saying, you know, fighting. So however you want to deal with it, I'm here.
Right.
And, you know, but it was, just like I said, every time I go to jail, the police want to question me and give them information. And I told them no. And, you know what I'm saying, you know, we went around, you know what I'm saying, they took me to their little, that station downtown and on Broadway and tried to question me. And, you know what I'm saying, look, where's my lawyer? I ain't got nothing to say. I don't want to talk to you. Where's my lawyer?
Right.
So they sent me, I went to Old County Jail, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was ugly. And, you know what I mean, my first day in the phone tank, some guy told me he was going to make me his bitch.
Really?
So now I've been all through the juvenile system. So, you know what I mean? You know, I know how it goes. When you go somewhere, you got to set an example. So I'm like maybe 180, 6'2", tall, skinny, long hair, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, I had a white paper suit because they took my clothes for evidence. And the dude's like, hey, you in for murder, huh? You in for murder. But I'm sick, you know, I'm in jail. And I'm like, man, I just don't say nothing. I just ignore him. And next thing you know, he's like, oh, you a tough guy, huh? I like making tough guys my bitch. I'm going to make you my bitch. And the other guys are in the tank joking with it. This is a black dude, right? So he's pretty big, you know, got some size on him. And I'm like, you know what I'm saying? You know, I got my head down like, man, you know, I know what I got to do. I ain't got no choice. I'm not giving you my manhood. Yeah. So when they opened up the door and let me in there, I just came in swinging, and I don't remember exactly how it went, but I remember when it was over, I had him in a headlock, and I was up against the bars, and the police were saying, let him go, let him go. And, you know what I'm saying, you know, I let him go, and they took me out, cuffed me up on the bench outside, cuffed him up on the bench across, and the whole paper suit was bloody on one side. And I'm like, oh, shit, you know, am I okay? I checked myself, and I ain't got no cuts. My hand is swelling up. And then, you know what I'm saying, you know, I look up across the room at him, and he's telling the police, he sucker punched me. He sucker punched me. But he got 6 stitches over one eye, 4 stitches under the other eye, and a broken nose. So he was bleeding profusely. You know, but he was talking shit, talking about he sucker punched me. Do you remember what you said you were going to do to me? Yeah. You know, so.
Wow. Yeah, Old County Jail was nothing nice.
No, it was ugly.
Yeah, it was. Man, so that was your first go around the county jail, or?
First of many. That wasn't the only. There was many after that, but I broke my hand, so I went to the medical tank. I got to the medical tank, and my big homie was there because he had broke his hand in a fight.
Right.
So he was in there, and he was the tank captain. So, you know what I mean, he took me in the cell, and, you know what I'm saying, you know, laced me up, and, you know what I'm saying, on how things go and what I needed to do. I had surgery on my hand, and this was kind of an integral part because when I'm in the medical tank, the guys are telling me, you know, okay, they're going to do this and they're going to do that. But when they put your hand to sleep, they're going to cut you and you're going to be numb. So all you're going to feel is a little scratch. When you feel that scratch, scream bloody murder and they'll give you more dope. Really? So I try it and I scared the doctor and he cut a nerve in my hand.
Oh, wow.
So now, you know what I'm saying, you know, they give me more dope, and I don't remember nothing else. But then, after it heals up and everything, it comes to find out I have no feeling in my fist.
Wow.
So that was like a benefit. It helped me out, you know, through all the fights and, you know what I mean, you know, I've broken knuckles and, you know, fingers and stuff, you know. Spent most of my life fighting. So that was a benefit.
So your hand's still numb?
Yeah, I ain't got no feeling in this part of my hand.
All right. Wow. Yeah, you know, if you're fighting a lot, that's a benefit, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've definitely damaged my hand in a few fights. It don't feel good. And it takes a long time to heal up. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was my first offense, the armed robbery. So then I ended up, you know what I'm saying, you know, going to prison, and I got out. And my second offense was a fist fight in Tijuana.
Oh,
where I
wow.
broke a Navy guy's jaw in 3 places, knocked out 2 teeth, and severed a nerve in his mouth. So they
Wow.
charged me with assault with a deadly weapon, and the gang prosecutor wanted me to tell on my homies that was doing the robberies, because when we all got locked up, they got out because they had halftime, first offense. I caught a bunch of time because I was getting into it with the whites, and I was a knucklehead. So I ended up doing more time. So when I got out, they were back to robbing, and they're like, "Yeah, man, they're doing robbing banks now." And it's like,
Oh,
"Come on,
wow.
man, I need somebody I can trust." And I'm like, "Man, I'm not going back to prison. Shit, I have problems." And white boys was fucking with me. I don't want to go back.
So
So
now
I ended up,
you were just doing county jail time, right? Up to
No,
this
no,
time?
no. That was my first. I went to prison. I got sentenced to 4 years with halftime. I
Right.
ended up doing 3 years and 3 months on 4 with half.
So where did they send you?
Well, I went to Donovan for reception. I got into a couple fights there, and then they redlined me, locked me up in 16 building until I got transferred out. I was level 1, so they sent me to Jamestown. When I hit the yard there, I tried, talk to some of the whites or whatever, and they, basically told me, look, you're a Crip, go hang with them. So, okay, I went, hung out with my homies. And then the
Right.
next day after I talked to them, I was in, it's a dorm living, we were
Right.
in the gym. So I went into the bathroom in the morning, I'm brushing my teeth, and some, white dude, tatted up. He's standing next to me. He's like, "What's up, Wood?" And I'm like, "You ain't talking to me. I don't answer to that. I'm a Crip." So
Yeah.
he's like, "What's up, Wood?" You ain't talking. I know he's not talking to me. So I finished brushing my teeth, and he's like, "What's up, dude?" So I'm like, "What's up?" So he's like, "Hey, man, what was you doing over there with the toads?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"What? What are you doing with the toads?" And I'm like, because I got toothpaste from one of the brothers. And he's like, "What was you doing? You got some toothpaste from one of the toads." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "The niggers." I'm like, "Man, I'm a neighborhood. I'm a Crip, And he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, well, this is Wally World. You do see everything here. Just watch your back." So to me, I'm taking that as a threat.
Right.
So you know what I mean. I go to my bunk and then get a sock. I go out to the yard and sit on the way pile and tell one of the homies, "Look, man, I'm fisting, I'm fisting bust this dude's head open." So I fill my
Yeah.
pockets up with rocks and then fill the sock up with rocks. And I go back into the gym and to get this guy, and he's at the table with the other whites playing cards.
Right.
So I'm sitting there waiting to get him away from the crowd so that, I don't have to get beat up by all of them, but I'm going to get him. So I'm looking at him, and then he keeps looking, and he sees me looking, and he's like, he comes walking over to me. I'm in the TV area, so he sees me pull my hand out of my pocket with the sock wrapped around my hand. And he's like, "Whoa." And he goes out to the yard. So I'm thinking he's going to go get a knife or a weapon.
Right.
So I'm waiting for him to come back in the cut by the door. So when he comes back in with his weapon, we can just get this over with.
Yeah.
He comes back in the building with my big homie who's on the yard.
Oh, wow.
He's like, look, see, I told you. You know what I mean? And then my homie's like, "Man, what the fuck you doing?" And I'm like, and then he sees, I got a bulge in my pocket. He's like, "What is this?" He took the rocks in the sock out of my pocket and threw it in the trash can.
Yeah.
He's like, "Man, what the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, "Man, the dude told me to watch my back." I figured that's a threat. He's like, so dude's sitting on his bunk. So we go over there to talk to him. He's like, "Man, I done earned my stripes. I don't want no problems. I'm just trying to go home."
Yeah.
So I'm like, for years, everybody been telling me, you got to watch your back. They going to come and get you,
Right. Right.
Even, my dad did not, deal with me at all. But when I got sentenced to prison, my dad came to visit me and he told me, "Boy, you can't go to prison gangbanging." And I was like, I ain't going to change now. I was hard-headed, young, dumb, full of calm. And I'm like, shit, I could do anything. And I had even homies from my neighborhood was like, man, you can't go up in there, you know what I'm saying, you know, gang banging, just go with the whites and tell them you don't bang. And I'm like, man, fuck that. You know what I mean? You know,
yeah.
I came in this way, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to leave out this way, one way or another.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying, you know, went on. And so this guy didn't want no problems, you know. So my homeboy talked to me and like, man, look, you know what I'm saying, don't do nothing unless you come talk to me. You know what I mean? You know, 2 days later, they called me off my bunk and escort me to the program office because someone dropped a kite saying that they're going to stab me.
Oh, that's famous. Yeah.
If you wanted to stab me, you could have just, you know what I'm saying, done it. Don't tell the police you're going to do it.
But as soon as they write kill or stab and the kite too, they gotta come get you.
Yeah. So now they put me in the hole, and now my cellie, he's a Crip, but he's from LA. And you know what I'm saying? Now I went from Donovan, I got red line, so I wasn't able to go to the canteen. So I get up here on the main line in Jamestown, level 1, and I haven't been able to go to canteen yet. I got a little money. I want to, you know what I'm saying, get my stuff because I got to keep asking, you know, people keep giving me, but I want my own, you know what I mean? You know, so I'm like, fuck. So finally in the hole, I'm able to go to the store and I'm able to spend the most you can spend. And I get, you know, back then you get tobacco and everything. So I got a whole bunch of zooms and whams. And my cellie, he just starts taking stuff out of my locker, putting it in his locker. And I'm like, and then he looks over at me and says, I'm taking this, punk.
Oh, wow.
You know, so, you know, I just, you know what I'm saying, you know, he wasn't even paying me no attention. Like, you know what I'm saying, I'm just supposed to accept this. I don't know who he's used to dealing with.
Right.
But I just took off on him. And next thing you know, what I'm saying, he was a big guy. He wasn't little. But, you know what I'm saying, you know, he's under the desk, under the stool. Half of him under one side and half of him under the other. And I'm trying to kick him. Yeah. You know, and then now, the rumbling in the cell is loud. So the police come. And I ain't never been in the hole. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. All I know, they're telling me to cuff up. But if I go cuff up, he's coming out from up under that desk.
Yeah.
So I tell him to go cuff up. So when he starts to get out from up under the desk, I kick him some more.
Yeah.
You know, and he goes back under there, you know. So, you know what I mean, I'm not letting him get up, and I'm not cuffing up. So the police are getting more and more. Alarms going off, and you know what I mean, you know, what do I do? You know, people are hollering, kicking on their door, you know, because it's a show for everybody else. So I'm new, first termer. What am I supposed to do? You know, next thing you know what I'm saying, they open the cell door and they got this big plastic shield covering the door, and they're all holding it. And I'm like, what are they doing? What are they going to do? You know, I don't know. So I'm watching them, but I'm watching him. And every now and then I go and I kick him again to make sure he knows, don't come out from up under there.
Yeah.
Man, they moved that shield and something came out to the side. Next thing you know, I was out. I woke up. Yeah, I woke up in the day room with my ankles and my wrists tied together, you know, and I was in a puddle. Why the hell y'all put me in this puddle? Yeah, I made the puddle when I pissed on myself.
Oh, man.
So.
Yeah, I never been tased, man, but I don't think I would want to either, you know?
No, it's not fun.
So you were having issues from all sides, you know? I mean, sounds like dude was trying to test you and he found out the wrong way, man, that he was testing the wrong guy.
Yeah, well, I tell people, don't let the light skin fool you. You know, don't think just because I'm white, you go, you know what I'm saying, just step on me. You know what I mean? You know, I'm the one that do the stepping. Yeah.
So that was Jamestown. So that was a Tuolumne yard. They built that level 3 over there. Was that there at the time?
That was the hole. Yeah, that's where I went to the hole.
Yeah. So did you get out of the hole and go to that yard, or did you parole from the hole?
They put me on a bus. They put me on a bus, and shipped me out of there. And then I was going to Chuckawalla.
All right.
But on the way to Chuckawalla, we had a layover in Chino.
Right.
Now, as soon as I got off the bus, Chino Central, there was a white guy who was in the hole. And, you know what I'm saying, we're all in a tank. And he's like, piece of shit. And I'm like, you know what I'm saying, you know, because I'm over here with the Crips, you know what I mean, you know, talking, piece of shit. And who he talking to?
Yeah.
And then when I look at him, he says, yeah, you. I'm like, me? What you want to do?
Yeah.
So they got a bathroom. So we go up in the bathroom. So we go up in the bathroom, you know, and I've been fighting all my life, like I said. But he's a big guy. He's bigger than me.
Yeah.
So we standing there toe to toe, just, you know what I'm saying, you know, shooting them. And, you know what I'm saying, you know, I'm dizzy. You know, he done tagged me a few times. You know what I mean? You know, so I'm, you know, I'm taking him. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, you know, he just lays down and take a nap. So I'm like, I'm shaking it off. And I look down and he's taking a nap.
Yeah.
So that's when I get tough, you know. So I come out, yeah, who's next? Who's next?
Yeah.
You know, and then nobody else, you know, because the whites were waiting to see what happened. The Crips was waiting to see what happened.
Right.
And then I come out and he didn't. So they're like, you know what I'm saying, you know, the white guy just sat down.
Yeah.
So the nurse came by with somebody in a wheelchair, you know, because they got to go through this tank to get to the medical.
Right.
And here's this guy taking a nap in the bathroom on the floor, bleeding out the mouth.
Yeah.
You know, so they come and they search everybody. My hands are puffy and red, and I got a couple, you know what I'm saying, ooey knots over my eye, and you know, because I took a few good ones. You know, it was a rumble for a minute. And then after that, you know what I'm saying, they pull my file. You're a Crip? Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
Well, we going to put you in Palm Hall. So they put me in Palm Hall until, you know what I'm saying, you know, the bus left to Chuckawalla. And they said, we're not even going to write you guys up. We're just going to ship you the fuck out of here.
All right.
So
were them guys going to the same pen you were going to?
No, they was going somewhere else.
Yeah. So you ended up in Chuckawalla?
Yeah, I went to Chuckawalla, and then it was it was hot as hell. It was summertime.
Yeah.
So I was on one yard for like maybe 5-6 months, and then they moved me over to the other yard, and then I got over there, and it's only 2 buildings because one building is the hole. So I was over there in a dry cleaning, and long story short, I ended up, you know what I'm saying, you know, getting into it with some other Crips because they were kind of, you know what I'm saying, looking down on San Diego, you know, and, you know what I'm saying, you know, so they wanted to tell us to do the dirty work. And, you know, I'm not a dummy, you know what I mean? So I'm like, man, how come you ain't doing it? You know, so I speak up. And then they're like, oh, you got a problem? So I end up getting into a fight with one guy. And then, you know what I'm saying, you know, then I got jumped by 3 guys, you know.
Yeah.
So I ended up, you know what I'm saying, the police seen it, everything, you know, but they don't hit their button. And they only grab me and nobody else. And they say I was in a physical altercation with several black inmates. But nobody came to the hole but me.
Yeah.
Everybody else got away. So then I was in there and I went to my 115 hearing, and the lieutenant told me that I was a disgrace to his race and I ought to be ashamed of myself and I don't have no pride. And I'm like, what does this have to do with the 115? Because I had set up a lie. I sent the kite out to my homeboys so that my story matches up, and then so I can get out of the hole and get back to the yard and take off on these guys that jumped me. So I'm thinking, you know what I mean, you know, I'm going to beat this 115 and they're going to send me back, and then I can go out there, you know what I'm saying, and put in work. Nah, the lieutenant, you know what I'm saying, you know, found me guilty and then sent me over to another yard. And then when I got to the other yard, I got at, you know what I'm saying, you know, the guys were supposed to be my homies. Man, look, give me a knife. I ain't getting jumped no more, you know.
Yeah. So
I got a knife the next day. And then a few hours after that, the police searched And guess what they found?
They found a knife.
The knife. And the only person that knew I had it was the person who gave it to me.
Yep.
My so-called homie. And,
Ain't
you
that
know,
something?
later
Ain't
on,
that
I
something?
figured it out. He was short. He wanted to go home. I'm a knucklehead. I'm fisting to start some shit, either with the whites or with the other Crips or with somebody, you know, because I'm young, dumb, and, you know what I'm saying, full of
Right.
cum. And, you know, so they knew that, you know what I'm saying, if I stayed, it's going to be some problems. So we get him out of here. Problem solved.
Right. Yeah, well, that's how it works. You're messing up their program.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's how that works. Yeah. The same thing goes for all races, you know. I mean, and like the kite, you know, we're gonna kill him, or you know, a lot of times, like right before canteen, where they would get kites, you know, saying, "Oh, there's gonna be a riot, or somebody's gonna kill somebody." Or famous one is, you know, they're gonna kill
Because they got debts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they got debts. They're gonna have to go to store and get fronted off, so they don't have any money. They can't pay their debt, so they drop a kite. You know, same shit. I mean, you know, oh boy, knew you had that piece, man. That was a perfect. You were a perfect scapegoat for him. You know, he probably couldn't wait to get that information. We used to have a little joke, you know, how'd they do it, by mail or by phone? You know, we used to think them guys were getting on the phones, you know, and calling the program office or something, you know, because you know, they would get wind of stuff, man. I mean, just fast, you know, and it seemed like they would get wind of stuff right at the right moment, you know. So what happened? Did you parole from the hole there?
Nah, I ended up getting a shoe program for the knife.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying, they ended up shooting me to Corcoran, and this was 92. You know, Corcoran was rocking and rolling at that time, and I got there, you know what I'm saying, and got off the bus, and it was ugly, because as soon as I got off the bus,